Hey everybody, how's it going today? Sean here to show you another one of my knives I've been ordering on Amazon. So this is the Manly Patriot in CPM 154. I decided to get this knife because all of the knives I've been buying lately have been high carbon steels, and I do use my knives a lot for food prep, so I decided to try a stainless steel, but I didn't want to get just an ordinary stainless steel. I wanted to try something a little different. I do have some Mora stainless steel knives. I do believe that's the Sandvik 12CN. I don't have the Garberg, so I just have the ordinary Sandvik Moras. But I'm not crazy about Scandi grinds for food prep, and usually when I'm at camp, I am in charge of doing most of the food prep. So I like to carry a full flat knife on me for slicing. I don't know if you have ever cut food. Like, obviously, if you have a Scandi grind knife, you've probably used it for something other than cutting wood, but that's where Scandis excel. They excel in wood cutting and biting. I find the control is not as good. When you're cutting through, you have a little more of an ability to have your blade go back and forth. And I find, especially when I'm cutting up onions and things, where I want a nice straight cut to dice them properly, the Scandi grinds don't really give me a satisfying cut, especially considering I didn't really start my knife love in the bushcraft knife area. I started with actually this knife. This was the very first higher end knife I acquired. This is a Henkel, this is Willington Henkel. It's not just the Henkel, it's got the two men on it. I find the cheaper Henkels have the one little guy, and this is the full forged. I'm not really sure what steel they use on this. I'm sure I can find it online, but I got this long before I started looking into steel compositions, so I didn't really do a lot of research on it, but I really love how full flats cut, especially food. So I wanted something a little more versatile for food prep, but also something that I can use as a carving blade if I really wanted to. So this is what I kind of landed on. I was looking at some Bark Rivers, which have like a full flat convex, and there was another brand I was looking at. What was it? Heli? Or I don't think it was Heli. Anyways, I can't remember right off the bat, but it was another full flat, and that was an L Max. But that was $280, and I think the Bark Rivers are around $300, especially if you want to get a full flat a full flat. You got it. They do have a lot of cheaper Scandi grind kind of blades you can get, but if you want a full flat, you're a lot more limited, especially if you're getting like a bushcraft blade. So this is the one I landed on, the Manly. I went for the CPM 154 because again they have this in two different steels. I think a D2 or something like a D2. I don't think they call it D2. They just call it a German steel, or Japanese. I can't remember exactly, but I landed on the CPM 154, and this is my very first, I guess you'd call super steel knife. They say it's hardened to between 59 and 61. I'm definitely gonna say that is definitely a very hard knife. You can hear it. Let's see if I can. You can almost hear the tension in the knife when you flick it with something, and I'm a little anxious to see how long this edge holds up. I've been messing around with it a little bit. I've got it, I think, last week, but again, this is a very hard steel, so it's going to take me a little while to get a proper edge retention test on it, because I'm not one of those guys who does the edge retention videos where I'm just chopping a bunch of rope or something and then cutting paper. That's kind of cool, I guess, if you have a little bit of, if you have limited time to do knife reviews and you're specifically doing like an edge retention in comparison. But for me, I like to do practical, real world edge retention, using the knife all down the different parts of the blade. Alright, let's go over the shape and what I like about this knife and what I'm not really crazy about. Just to let you know right off the bat, I like almost everything about this knife. It's amazing in the hand. Like, again, I have an extra large hand, and this isn't a very big knife, but the handle is nice and long, and it's weighty. The G10 scales are very, very well done, and the jimping is perfect, not too sharp or anything. I really do wish that they wouldn't have had this flare out here. I personally don't like finger guards. I know that it's a little dangerous not to have them, especially if you're all the way up in like a body cavity or something and your hands are all bloody. You don't want your finger to be slipping onto the blade. But for what I use, like, especially if I'm using this for food prep, when I chop things, I like to have the ability to be able to, when I chop, for the whole knife to be able to flat. And if you see the way they have that jimping, or the finger guard jimping, it doesn't allow you to, like, unless you're right on the cutting board, you can do some rock chopping there. But I don't know why most bushcraft knives are like this. It's I guess because food prep is not their main thing, but I've really noticed this about pretty much every single bushcraft blade I have, is that they always have some sort of finger guard that stops you from being able to do a rock chop, which I guess this is that's not the main purpose of this knife. But it would be really nice if they had the ability to do that, like maybe by having the blade come a little further down. That would add more depth to the blade. There's got to be a way to do it. Anyways, I'll give you a little more specs on this thing, so have some real information in this video, not just me rambling. We got 8 1/4 inch overall, or 21 centimeters from tip to tail there. Blade actual cutting length is 9.5 centimeters, or just under 4 3/4. Sheath retention is amazing. I'm not really sure what they were thinking with this sheath. It's really great in some ways, but other ways it leaves me scratching my head. Now, I know these are handmade knives, and it's another reason why I did pick up this specific brand, because I wanted something a little more handmade, a little less factory, and Manly is one of the few companies that do that in the under $200 range. Now, when I was looking into this knife, people were talking about what a good value it is, and maybe it's just how we ship knives to Canada. Knives are always more expensive in Canada, but the cheapest I was able to get this knife, well, I might have been able to get it cheaper from another website, but I ordered off Amazon, and it was $160 Canadian plus tax, so it came to just like $192. Shipping was included, but apparently this is a about a €90 knife, so that's probably about 120, 130 Canadian. I think I overpaid about $30. And it's probably the seller I bought it off of, maybe, but it was just the first time I saw a manly knife pop up on Amazon.ca. I could have got the D2. I think the D2 was 111, but I wanted to try a CPM steel. I wanted to try specifically CPM 154. The next one I want to try is the 3V, which that's the two knives, like stainless knives I was looking at, was the Benchmade Puko and this, and I ended up going for this because I wanted a Kydex sheath. I wanted something a little different, and the sheath that they have with the Benchmade Puko is leather, and it hasn't gotten very good reviews, and the sheaths are very important to me as far as a fixed blade. I can't carry a fixed blade without the sheath, and if the sheath is not, if it's not confidence inspiring, if I feel I'm going to lose the knife, I will just not carry the knife until I find a sheath that will. So this was the same price as the Benchmade Puko, roughly 160 Canadian dollars, and this one came with an overall, what I thought was a better sheath. I can carry this on my waist as well as a neck carry. Let's just get a quick weight on this before I start really talking about the sheath. Hopefully it still has batteries. Yeah. So this is a pretty heavy knife for its size. Something about those G10 scales. So you're looking at 130 grams. 4.6 ounces. Naked, and then with the sheath doesn't weigh too much. 6.5 ounces. So yeah, you're getting pretty heavy there. Half a pound. Getting close to half a pound. Well, not that close, but 185 grams. So it's a little heavier than I like for a neck carry, so I end up carrying it on my belt, and that leads me to my one problem with this knife, which is the belt carry on this sheath. So this is what is it, a hex 2.5, but I'll just show you. I'll try and line up the holes here just so they, I guess they wanted to give you a few different ways to carry it, and this is the way I sort of landed on, where it's my belt goes through here, and I carry it kind of half scout carry, like it's not completely horizontal, and on the side of my belt. So that's how I've been carrying it. I prefer to carry my knives completely vertical, in a lower position. I don't necessarily need a dangler, but if the knife handle rides really high out of the end of the sheath, I often use a dangler, because I really don't like when the knife digs into my hip when I'm sitting in my car or something, or when I sit down or bend over at an awkward angle. And this knife seemingly is the only way you can carry it vertically is if you're going to be jabbing yourself. So like, I originally wanted to have the sheath about this high and then carry it on my belt, but the way this is manufactured, they have these holes spaced out here, which you see, like, there's 9 holes here, which you think you'd be able to get a decent array of carrying, given that you have 8 holes on here and 9 holes on, like, you should be able to. But as far as I've found, there's only 2 or 3 ways to mount this properly and what seems securely. So you have this way, completely up and down, but look how much handle is sticking out. Like, you can't bring it past there, because that little ridge there gets in the way of being able to slide that past. So if you want to carry it completely straight up and down, you got those 2 holes. And I've already had to, like, widen one of these holes to put it in a way I was kind of messing around with, but I didn't end up keeping it that way. So yeah, you can mount it sideways in either these holes or these holes, but you get 2 screws. You can only attach it with the 2 screws, so it's like it's mounted, but I can still, like, flex it that way, which doesn't inspire confidence. If I'm gonna mount it like this, I'd want to screw on each side, but if you look, like the holes don't line up any which way. Like, so if I wanted to carry it a little lower, I can do this kind of wonky, slightly off to the, like, so it'll be carrying on my belt, it'll be slightly forward, but that still doesn't line up perfectly. Like, there's like a millimeter off, so I had to widen that hole, and I didn't like the way it carried like that. You can carry it, how I was carrying it, like, wait, what am I backwards here? Yeah, I'm backwards, so this is the back of my belt. So I was carrying it at the beginning, like, where's the other hole? See, this is just like so crazy. They added all these holes, but they didn't seem to add them in a way that's properly spaced out with the sheath. And I'm guessing probably because these are handmade, maybe when they put these rivets in, they're not like doing a template. Maybe they're just putting the rivets in as they, like, they can be off millimeters. I really don't know, because this does look slightly handmade. There's a little bit of like marks around there. Stuff doesn't line up perfectly, and I like that, but also I just don't get why they would include such a weird belt carry option that seems like it has a lot of different options, but it doesn't. So, like, I can't even remember how I got it. So yeah, you can carry it completely scout, so that would be, oh, sorry, that's on my belt. So you can do completely sideways like that, like those two holes do line up. And then there's another one that makes you carry it on. That's the one I had before, the slight angle, which lines up with, can't even remember now, that hole and that hole. There you go. So those two holes, that's the way I read it. So we got that one straight up and down, 2 scout carry, completely scout carry, 3, and then a slightly off kilter. There you go. So it's gonna be hanging back just slightly, and you can get those two in, so your belt will be going through there. I actually like to do it at this one and this bottom one and this one right there. That's why I had to widen that hole a little bit. So you're looking at 4 different ways that I've been able to find messing around with this for a lot. Like, I've taken this off so many times, and everyone is still not perfect. Like, even if I wanted to carry, like, because I don't like carrying slightly horizontal. I find it, when I sit in my car, it like jams into my car seat. So I like to carry vertically, but this it just won't allow me to carry it as vertically as I like. So I don't know really what they could have done to remedy that issue the way they have it. I'm thinking they need to reevaluate this whole thing here, and maybe instead of give this, if you want, for the scout carry. And then I saw somebody who had this nice little, it was just like a piece of Velcro that went around and wrapped around here, and then like a piece of material that went up there into a belt loop that also wrapped around the handle. So velcroed around there, and then you had a nice long dangler with a part that wrapped around the handle too. That would probably add an extra $2-3 to your cost of manufacturing, maybe even less, and that would give you a much better way to carry it in the traditional style. But I mean, I'm just nitpicking at this point in time, because I have found a way that I kind of enjoy to carry it. I originally was going to carry this around my neck, but I'm not crazy about just the sheer weight of this around my neck. I prefer a lighter neck carry. Alright, back to the actual part of the sheath where the knife goes into. You got some standard rivets here, and then this wonky big rivet, which I'm not really, like, I know why they did it. They're trying to tie the sheath to the handle, because these rivets are the same size and, like, well, obviously different depths, but I think they're just trying to make it seem like this sheath is a little more, goes a little more with this knife. And then this one in the front is how it retains. These two little balls, these melted little divots here, hold the knife in very, very securely. This is my first real Kydex sheath. I thought I had Kydex sheath before, but I'm guessing they were just some sort of polymer plastic. Hopefully this Kydex is as strong as I hope it is, because I really want this retention to stay. And apparently if it does loosen up, you can heat it up and squeeze those a little deeper and get your retention back. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Alright, back to the knife. As far as fit and finish, this knife was very, very well done. I saw some people criticizing grinds that were slightly off, and I'd be a little peeved too if I got a knife with this kind of steel and the grind was way off. It is not perfect, but it is so... Let's see if I could try and focus on my hand without cutting myself here, just to show you the tip. Can you focus, you fuck? No, eh? It's not gonna focus. Anyways, right around the tip, there's just a slight difference right at the tip. Like, this one's ground a little steeper than this side, but I could fix that on a stone very, very quickly, and I will. Eventually, I'm going to see how long this factory grind does, because I always like to see how well the geometry is on a factory grind. And even if it does have little hiccups in the geometry, I want to just treat the knife as like a car. You wouldn't be tuning up your car as soon as you buy a new car. You gotta feel it up and sort of feel around and get a good idea with how they're building the knife stock. I'm planning on attaching a lanyard to here eventually. I'm not really sure when, because I don't know if I'll need a lanyard on this. I don't need a lanyard to pull it out of the sheath properly, and I'm not going to be flinging this thing around like crazy, so the only reason I would put a lanyard on it is for visibility, and it's going to be a nice bright green or bright orange or something, but I don't know if I want to mess with the look of this knife that much. The hardware, again, too, that came with this sheath, I'm not crazy about. I've played around with it, unloosened it about 5 or 6 times, and the screws feel like they're already starting to get a little wallered out, so Manly put some better hardware in there, especially if you're gonna have a sheath that needs a lot of playing around with to get it comfortably. The box that came in made me laugh, just because my knives are tools. Like, I treat my knives as tools. So this is the one thing that came in the box, other than the plastic that the knife was in. Manly, Bulgaria. And then it gives you all the information, black, CPM 154. I guess I could have looked for the information in here. That would have made sense instead of weighing it, but I gotta do my due diligence. So yeah, it's a 59 to 61 HRC. I'm leaning towards 61. It feels real hard. But this little part made me laugh. Let's see if I can focus you, fuck. Anyways, it says, Manly provides a lifetime warranty on its products under proper use and reasonable care. Alright, this knife is not a tool. What does that mean, Manly? Knives are tools. They're tools to cut. I think that's lost in translation. I think what they're trying to say is, don't use this as a prying tool. Don't use this as a screwdriver. This is hard stainless steel. It will chip if you mistreat it, and they're not going to honor that warranty. But that just strikes me as they're not going to honor this warranty if it chips very easily. Like, especially the way they word it. Manly provides a lifetime warranty on its product under proper use and reasonable care. This knife is not a tool. So what do you consider proper use and reasonable care, Manly? If you're going to have that kind of verbiage in your warranty, you have to be specific. There is some empty space on here. Make an extra paper and be specific about what you consider proper use of this tool, because a lot of people consider slight prying to be a proper use of a knife, but given that you say this is not a tool, I don't know what your proper use is, because knives are tools. Don't get me wrong. Great product you have made, Manly, but the way you have worded that warranty does not give me faith that you are going to stand behind your product if it does break for any reason. And but it's a fixed blade knife. Unless you're doing stupid shit with it, you're probably not going to break it. So that goes without saying, Manly. Just take that off. Just take that. Just say you offer a lifetime warranty, lifetime limited warranty. Boom, there you go. And then put a little thing saying, see website for specific warranty information, and then go from there. Because all that does is it makes me think that you either are not going to stand by your product, or your English translator is not doing a good enough job, and that was not what he meant to say, because knives are tools. Anyways, that is the Manly knife. Overall, I highly recommend it. It's a little pricey, but then again, I'm coming from like BPS knives, which are budget. Some people might say 100, 150, 160 Canadian is not a high price knife, but to me that is the tippy top of what I'd be willing to spend on a tool like this. I definitely can't spend, like, I've tried. There's been a few times where I've put a Bark River in my cart off of Warriors and Wonders, one of the few places that I can get a Bark River in Canada website, and it's still like the $279 plus 20 shipping plus like you're spending $350, and I can get a lot of gear for that price. Even this knife, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this. If I can post this on my local used place and get all my money back, I may. I'm not sure. I'm going to play around with it for a little bit, really see where it fits into my life, but almost $200 Canadian. It's just a steep ask, even with the nice steel. I guess that's all I have to say about this knife, but I do want to give you a little heads up on something I am doing that's not necessarily a knife review. I picked up this bad boy Henkel at my local Value Village. It's one of the older, well, not old, but it's an older Henkel knife, because they stopped putting the logo, like they switched the sides of the logo. I don't even know exactly when, but it's usually how I find an older one. The logo is on the I guess the left side instead of the right side instead of the left side. But I have this knife already, so this is a very similar knife. This is the first knife I ever got as far as high-end kitchen knives. I think it was 160 or 170 in the restaurant supply store when I bought it in Toronto, and this was $4 at my local Value Village. But whoever had this before me, it should not be in charge of sharpening knives. This is the shape it's supposed to be. I don't know if you can see. Like, maybe he just had it for a long time, but that's what the shape is now. That's what it's turned into from years and years. I guess maybe he was sharpening on a bench grinder or something, because he was taking off. Like, I've had this knife for going on 10 years. This was 22, so yeah, 12 years now. Wow, about 12 years, and that's like I keep my knives fairly sharp, and I barely remove stock. I can't imagine how much you're sharpening this knife to remove that kind of stock. But anyways, you see what I'm doing to it here. I'm gonna make myself a Henkel outdoor knife. So it's the kind of basic shape I got. I'm going for something that will have a belly that I can chop on. That the little freaking finger guard's not gonna get in the way of this. So I'm gonna have this a little lower than the actual blade length. So this will be back. So when I do chop, if I end up bringing this to camp, I think this will be my camp cooking knife slash just camp chore knife when I'm done with it. But yeah, I want to be able to do food prep as well as see what the steel in this kitchen knife can do, because these older Zwillings and Hankel knives have some pretty nice forged steel in them. I don't exactly know what it's hardened to, but it's thick as balls for a kitchen knife too. Like, this is, like, you could see how much thicker these older ones are than the newer ones. I don't have my my micrometer here, but that looks at least to half a mil thicker, maybe even more. But yeah, I'm gonna be probably bringing it to right about there. So it's gonna be a still pretty honking knife. I'm gonna have to regrind the bevels because I'm going up pretty high there, and I don't want too much meat behind the edge. So this Hankel thing is going to be gone by the time I'm done regrinding those bevels. But I'm just waiting on my belt. I'm ordering a belt sander because I'm going to do this one right. I'm going to make myself a jig so I get proper angles on my bevels. I was going to freehand it, but I think this is going to be a very nice knife when I'm all done. I'm going to relieve some of this stuff. I'm cutting up I'm going to grind down maybe ½ inch off of there and make the handle just a little bit deeper, have a little less, maybe even take a little bit off the end here, because if you look, it's a pretty big handle. The handle and knife are going to be almost the exact same length, and I don't know if I need a handle quite that big. But I'm very interested to see how this this old kitchen knife stacks up as a bushcraft or outdoor knife with a slightly different style to it. And I highly suggest, if you want to get into knife making, do that. Like, go to Value Village, go to your local Salvation Army, pick up the nicest knives you could find there. I have to go quite often, but I do find really, really nice knives at Value Village all the time. Like, high-end steel knives. Often they're beat up. Somebody, maybe a dad, gave it to his son when he moved out, and his son didn't know how nice of a knife he was getting, and then it got dull, and then he went to Canadian Tire and bought a set of Faber wares or something and replaced, and then just, like, a lot of people don't even know how to properly maintain their knives. So this is what this looked like. This was given to somebody who didn't know how to properly maintain a knife this nice, and he just butchered it. But I give him props for at least trying to keep it sharp. I mean, there's that. He could have just dulled it out and got rid of it like a lot of people do. The amount of